The cursor blinks. Again. Again. 6 hours have vanished into the blue light of a dozen open tabs. You sit motionless, eyes tracking the endless scroll of content that keeps you from doing anything that actually matters. It is Wednesday afternoon. You promised yourself on Sunday that this week would be the one where everything changed. Yet here you are, trapped in the same loop of digital noise that has consumed your last 3 days. The air in the room feels stagnant. You shift in your chair, but the screen holds you in place. Every click is a desperate attempt to find something meaningful. But every link just leads to another tab, another distraction, another minute burned away. The weight of the week presses down. It is not just the time lost. It is the realization that the gap between what you intended to achieve and what you have actually done is widening by the second. Your chest feels tight. The screen is no longer a tool, it is a wall. You stare at the glow, waiting for a spark of motivation that refuses to ignite. Trapped by the gravity of your own inaction, you shift your focus, pulling your gaze away from the glare of the monitor. Beside your mouse lies a leather-bound journal. You bought it on Sunday with grand intentions. You had mapped out every hour of the week in ink, believing this time the structure would hold. Now, it sits dead weight on the desk. You reach out, tracing the spine, feeling the cool, undisturbed surface. Most of the pages are blank. They are not just empty paper. They are a record of every hour you failed to claim. You flip to the first page. The date is circled, the goals are listed, and the ink is still pristine because it was never put into practice. The silence of the room amplifies the static in your head. You look from the black, empty lines on the paper to the chaotic, glowing tabs on your screen. The contrast is sharp enough to cut. You are not just wasting time. You are watching your own plans dissolve in real time. The weight of those blank pages is heavier than the screen itself. You had a roadmap, but you never left the starting line. The realization hits with a dull thud in your chest. The week is half gone, and you are exactly where you started on Sunday morning. Stop blaming your character. You are not lazy. You are not failing because you lack the grit to succeed. You are a victim of a broken design. Every system you have tried to force into your life assumes you have the willpower of a machine, ignoring the basic biological reality of how your brain functions. Your mind is not built for the relentless output of the modern world. It is hardwired to conserve energy and seek the path of least resistance. It is an evolutionary survival mechanism, not a flaw. Every time you try to force a massive change, your brain detects a threat to its equilibrium and triggers a retreat. You are fighting against millions of years of programming that demands comfort and efficiency. Once you see that, the frustration shifts. It is not a moral failing. It is a tactical error. You have been trying to outrun your own biology instead of working with it. This realization is the first shift in your trajectory. You are not broken. You are just operating on a default setting that no longer serves your goals. Now, we stop relying on hope and start building a system that actually accounts for how you are made. Standard productivity systems fail because they treat your focus as an infinite resource. They demand the mechanical consistency of a clock, ignoring the reality that your brain is not an engine. It is a biological organism that fatigues under constant pressure. When you follow a rigid, high-intensity schedule, you are effectively trying to drive a car with a cracked engine block at maximum speed for 12 hours straight. It might work for an hour, but the friction will eventually seize the pistons. These systems expect you to override your own biology through sheer force of will, but willpower is a finite, depletable asset. By midday, your tank is empty. The mental strain of maintaining that level of forced intensity spikes your cognitive load, creating a feedback loop of exhaustion. Your brain recognizes this as a danger signal. It does not see a task. It sees a threat to its internal stability. Consequently, it routes you back to the comfort of low-effort stimuli, not because you are weak, but because your system is attempting to protect you from burnout. When you try to be a machine, you lose the ability to function as a human. We must stop pretending that discipline alone can overcome these biological limits. The struggle you feel is not a lack of drive. It is the inevitable collision between your ambition and your biology. Your brain operates on a fundamental evolutionary default gateway, the path of least resistance. Think of your mind like a river, constantly seeking the lowest possible elevation to maintain flow. When you sit down to work, you are effectively trying to push that water uphill. Evolution designed your brain to be an energy-saving machine, not a high-performance engine for modern complexity. Every calorie you burn is a resource your ancestors needed to survive, so your biology is hardwired to minimize metabolic cost. When a task requires deep focus, your brain perceives that intense cognitive demand as an unnecessary expenditure of life-sustaining energy. It triggers a signal to prioritize comfort over execution. This is why you gravitate toward the screen or the snack when the work gets difficult. It is not a conscious choice to be idle. It is a deep-seated survival reflex acting against your goals. The moment your brain detects friction, it immediately routes you toward the easiest available path. This is the secret enemy of your progress. It is an internal guardian that mistakes your productivity for danger. To move forward, you must stop treating this as a character flaw and start treating it as a technical constraint. Your brain is doing exactly what it was evolved to do. It is time to override that default. By the third day of any new routine, you hit the wall. You start with high intent, but your brain is tracking the energy cost of every decision. By day 3, your willpower tank is effectively empty. The cognitive load of forcing yourself into a new, complex pattern has spiked beyond your biological capacity. Your brain no longer asks if the work is important. It only asks how to stop the drain. This is the point of total system failure. You reach for your phone, you open a browser tab, and you settle back into the old, familiar rut. The cycle repeats. You feel the crushing weight of another failed attempt, and the fear of repeating this cycle becomes a permanent background noise in your life. You are not lazy, but you are stuck in a broken loop of your own making. Trying to solve this with more discipline is like trying to fix a leak by pouring more water into the bucket. It is a losing game. The exhaustion you feel is the physical evidence that your current strategy is fundamentally misaligned with your biology. You need a way to bypass the tank entirely. You need a system that does not rely on the very fuel you keep running out of. We must move from willpower to architecture. Discipline is a finite resource, and as you have discovered, it is a poor foundation for sustainable output. Relying on sheer willpower is a structural error. Instead, we treat your behavior like code. Every action you take has an activation energy, the amount of force required to overcome the initial state of rest. When you attempt a massive life change, you are demanding an enormous surge of energy to start. Your brain resists this, viewing it as a threat to your stability. This is why you wait for motivation that never comes. To break this, we stop trying to be more disciplined. We stop trying to be stronger. We start lowering the activation energy of your work until it reaches 0. If you remove the friction, the work happens by default. You do not need to be a hero to complete a task. You only need to make the starting point so small that it is impossible to fail. By designing your environment to favor the action you want to take, you bypass the need for conscious effort entirely. You are not changing your character. You are changing the physics of your daily life. We are replacing the heavy lift of willpower with the precision of a system. The solution is a 7-2-hour manual override. We call this the sticky note trigger protocol. Your brain is hardwired for the path of least resistance, constantly seeking the comfort of familiar loops. This protocol is designed to force a system restart. For the next 3 days, you are not relying on hope or motivation. You are running a script. This is an architectural change that treats your cognition as a machine to be calibrated. We are bypassing your internal resistance by installing a physical sensor in your digital workflow. It is simple, tactile, and intentionally disruptive. You might wonder how a small piece of paper could alter the trajectory of your entire afternoon. The secret lies in the physics of the interrupt. Your device is your primary portal to distraction, and by placing a physical barrier directly on the interface, we force a moment of conscious decision-making before you can access your usual escape routes. You cannot bypass the system without interacting with the trigger. This is not about being productive. It is about forcing a pattern shift that your brain cannot ignore. The architecture is now in place. We are initiating the override sequence to move you out of the loop and into execution. The clock starts the moment you apply the trigger. Now, we isolate the variable. The reason your current to-do list fails is because it is a collection of noise. It demands constant decision-making, and every decision drains your cognitive battery before you even begin to work. You are processing dozens of items, most of which do not move the needle. This is not productivity. It is maintenance. To bypass this, we utilize the leverage task. You will write down exactly one objective for tomorrow. Only one. This is a hard limit. By restricting your focus to a single point, you eliminate the mental overhead of prioritization. You stop asking what to do next and start executing what is already decided. A leveraged task is not just a chore. It is the single action that, if completed, makes all other tasks easier or unnecessary. It must be specific, measurable, and physically achievable within a single sitting. When you look at your list, you should see only one line of text. If you find yourself wanting to add a second or third item, you are still operating on the old system of accumulation. Strip it away. Remove the clutter until only the highest impact action remains. This is the first step of the protocol, reducing your operational scope to a single, sharp point of focus. Take your sticky note. Do not place it on your desk. Do not put it on a wall where your eyes can slide past it. Take the note and press it directly onto your laptop trackpad or over the camera lens of your phone. This is the physical anchor for your new system. When you reach for your device to enter your usual loop of distraction, your fingers will hit the paper first. This is a mandatory pattern interrupt. It forces a physical obstruction between your impulse and your action. You cannot reach the interface without moving the note, and in that split second of tactile resistance, the spell breaks. Your brain expects the smooth glide of a trackpad or the instant clarity of a camera, but it encounters friction instead. That friction is your new operating system. It demands a conscious choice. Do you remove the note and continue your spiral, or do you acknowledge the task written there and begin? This is not just a reminder. It is a gatekeeper. By forcing this physical interaction, you terminate the subconscious drift. The device is now locked behind a physical requirement. You must touch the note to proceed. You must acknowledge the task before the digital world yields to your command. The note is fixed. The barrier is live. Now, you wait. There is a specific tension that arrives when you realize you have effectively sabotaged your own path to distraction. You look at your phone, but the camera is obscured. You look at your laptop, but the trackpad feels alien, covered by that thin layer of paper. You have created a trap for your future self, and there is no way to bypass it without acknowledging the task you set. This is the moment where the old autopilot fails. You want to reach for the device, but the tactile presence of the note creates an immediate, sharp hesitation. You realize that to use your tools, you must first confront the leverage task staring back at you. There is no more hiding in the background noise of infinite browsing. The system is armed. You have successfully removed the possibility of mindless, reflexive engagement. Every time you reach for that surface, the paper will remind you of the commitment you made. You are no longer drifting. You are now held accountable by the very interface you once used to escape. The trap is set, and your future self has no room to negotiate. The next time you reach for the device, the choice will be forced. The trap is set, and the countdown begins. 72 hours. That is the length of this override. In the background, invisible to everyone but you, the clock starts to tick. This is not a suggestion. It is a clinical trial of your own willpower against your biology. Every hour that passes adds weight to the commitment you made on that piece of paper. You are no longer merely sitting at a desk. You are operating within a restricted window of time. The air in the room feels different when you know you are being watched by your own standards. There is a high-stakes intensity to this waiting. Your brain, accustomed to the ease of an unmonitored existence, now senses the incoming friction. It knows the rules have changed. You are not waiting for inspiration or a sudden surge of motivation. You are waiting for the moment you wake up, when the system demands execution without negotiation. The anticipation is a physical weight, a steady pressure at the back of your mind. You have effectively cornered yourself. There is no turning back, no resetting the clock, and no bypassing the next 3 days. The system is armed. The sequence has initiated. The countdown is live, and your future self is already under the clock. The morning light hits the room. The sticky note is still there. You reach for the laptop, but your finger meets the paper. That contact is the first breach of your old habits. You peel the corner, not to throw it away, but to reveal the trackpad. You clear the space. You open the file. Your brain pulls you toward the browser, toward the familiar feedback loops, but you stop. You do not negotiate. You set the timer for 15 minutes, 1,080 seconds. That is all. You press start. The clock is running. The screen is blank, waiting for the first word. You feel the urge to click away, but the timer is a hard limit. You force your hands to the keys. The cursor blinks. It is a steady, rhythmic pulse. You lean in. You ignore the itch for distraction. You lean harder. The struggle is localized, physical, and immediate. You are not fighting for a lifetime of change. You are fighting for the next 15 minutes. You type. The first sentence appears. The system has accepted the input. You are inside the window. 10 minutes gone. 5 remain. The initial friction has vanished, replaced by the mechanical rhythm of execution. Your hands move across the keys without hesitation. The cursor no longer mocks you. It tracks your progress. You finish a paragraph, then another. The screen is no longer a void, but a workspace. You hit the 12-minute mark, and the temptation to check your phone arrives, but you ignore it. The momentum is real. You are not thinking about the task. You are simply doing it. 14 minutes. The final 60 seconds feel like a sprint. You push, typing faster, closing the gap between intent and completion. The timer hits 0. You do not stop. You keep going. The 15-minute barrier was a mirage designed to keep you from starting. Now that you are in the flow, the system takes over. You produce more in this brief window than you did in the previous 6 hours. The brain code is working. You feel the shift in your pace, the clarity of the focus, and the surge of progress. You are no longer fighting the system. You are the system. Day 2 begins with a different problem. The baseline is set, but the temptation remains. Your phone sits on the desk, a silent portal to every distraction you have spent years mastering. You pick it up. The glass is cold under your thumb. You do not turn it off. You do not put it face down. You stand up, walk to the heavy wooden drawer, and drop the device inside. You push the drawer shut. The click is metallic and final. You return to your seat. The desk is now empty, save for your work. You reach out to check the screen, but the phone is gone. The physical space between you and the device has become a wall. You have introduced friction. To reach for the scroll, you must now stand, walk, open the drawer, and retrieve the item. That sequence of movement is a barrier. It forces a pause. In that pause, your brain has time to register the choice. You are no longer reacting to impulses. You have engineered an environment where the path of least resistance is now the work itself. You sit back down. The quiet in the room is different now. It is intentional. The itch starts in your fingertips. It is a phantom sensation, the muscle memory of reaching for a device that is no longer there. You shift in your chair. The urge to stand, walk to the drawer, and retrieve the phone is a physical weight, pulling at your focus. You stare at the screen. The cursor blinks. You look at the drawer. It is locked, a silent wooden box containing your old habits. You could reach it in 5 seconds. You could unlock the screen and be scrolling in 10. That is the trap. You grip the edge of the desk instead. Your knuckles turn white. You force your eyes back to the task. 1 sentence, then 2. The internal resistance spikes, a desperate final push from your brain to seek the comfort of the feed. You breathe through it. You do not move. You do not stand. You type. The resistance begins to fracture, then collapses entirely. You have just won a war against your own biology. The desire to reach for the phone fades, leaving only the steady, rhythmic sound of keys clicking. The environment is holding. The barrier is working. You are no longer fighting the urge. You are starving it out. Day 3 arrives without the familiar morning dread. You do not negotiate with yourself. You do not weigh the options. You sit down, your hand moves to the screen, and you encounter the note. It is not an obstacle anymore. It is a prompt. You touch the paper, acknowledging the mission, and begin. The work moves faster than it did on Monday. The hesitation that usually plagues the first hour is absent. You are not pushing against a wall. You are moving through an open door. Words appear on the screen with a steady, relentless rhythm. You reach the leverage task, execute the core components, and hit the finish line before the clock even registers the mid-morning mark. You lean back. The screen is clear of clutter. The tabs are closed. A cold, sharp clarity settles in. You look at your hands, then back at the note still pinned to the device. The system did not just force the work, it reorganized your internal priorities. You realize the effort was not in the task itself, but in the decision-making. That is gone. You are now a machine of execution. The shift is not a feeling. It is a verifiable result on the screen. The final period is typed. The cursor stops flashing. You stare at the screen, but the work is done. Your gaze drifts down to the physical anchor point, that small square of paper still stuck to the device. It has served its purpose. You reach out, your fingers pressing against the edge of the note. It peels away with a crisp, dry sound. You pull it free, feeling the slight resistance of the adhesive as it gives way. Now, you hold it. The paper is small, insignificant, yet it represents the entire architecture of your success over these 3 days. You close your hand into a fist. You squeeze. The paper crumples, the fibers bending and snapping against your palm. You can feel the sharp edges digging into your skin. This is not just a scrap of paper. It is the physical manifestation of a completed mission. You open your hand and look at the mangled mess. A rush of clarity hits you, a sharp, cold spike of satisfaction. Your brain registers the signal. The cycle is closed. The protocol is verified. You drop the crumbled note onto the desk with a soft thud. You are finished. Look at the desk. Look at the empty space where the note once sat. That small physical act was never just about one task. It was a test of the architecture. If you can control 15 minutes, you can control an hour. If you can control an hour, you can command the entire day. This is the definition of scalability. You have proven that your internal operating system is not a fixed, immovable object. It is code. You wrote the script, you executed the protocol, and you verified the output. The quiet confidence now settling into your posture is not a result of luck. It is the byproduct of friction management. You have learned to lower the energy required to start until the resistance disappears. The brain is no longer fighting the work. It is anticipating the process. You are no longer waiting for the right mood or the perfect alignment of external factors. You have built a system that functions regardless of how you feel. This is the new baseline. Every future project, every high-stakes deadline, and every complex goal now rests on this foundation. You have moved from a victim of your own impulses to the architect of your own output. The system is live. Stop waiting for the lightning bolt of inspiration. It is a fairy tale for people who prefer dreaming to doing. You have the manual. You have the protocol. You have the proof that you can override your own default settings. Do not spend another hour analyzing the process or seeking the perfect environment. Perfection is just another form of resistance. Buy the sticky notes. Take the pen. Write down your next leverage task for tomorrow morning. Stick it directly onto your screen tonight. When you wake up, do not think. Do not negotiate with your own brain. Do not check your notifications. Just run the script. The moment you see that paper, you are committed. You are the operator. You are the architect. You are the execution engine. Go to the comments. Type SYSTEM engaged right now and set your own timer. Your 7-2-hour clock starts the moment you finish this video. The work is waiting. The system is ready. Go.